she has to work late into the night. Up to 12:30 she has to sit there in the office to complete the auditing. After reaching the PG also, this she has to do additional works. Gradually, after 1 week only, there she started the regular auditing. Sit in the office up to 12:30. And she will return back to her PG by 1:30 only. After reaching the PG also, this she has to do additional works. And, but the problem is that she cannot say, she is not getting uh, time to sleep, and she cannot take food in time. Stress was there, and this work pressure was there. But when he called me, she cried and told that I cannot do so much of work because of the, so much pressure, tension, stress, etc. But unfortunately, on July 21st, she collapsed in her room, and before reaching hospital, she died.
Hi, you are watching SightsIn Plus, and this is Romesh Shivasu. Please to subscribe the channel for the HR news, for HR updates and conversation with the top-notch CHROs, leaders, and business heads. Today, we are going to discuss a very sensitive subject, that is EY death case that happened because of the excessive work pressure and toxic work culture. We will also try to dive deep at how the organizations can create a culture of trust and empathy. Joining us, three very senior thought leaders. Let me welcome Dr. Deepa Nagarajan. She is an OKR expert. She is the founder and CEO of Deepa Nagarajan LLP. Mr. D.K. Bakshi is Chief Mentor and CEO at Global Talent Company Limited. He is a renowned HR thought leader. And Mr. Sriram S. is Chief Happiness Expert at Our Happiness Matters. I think most of the details are already on social media, and people know that people are aware about the death of Anna Perayil. If you look at the social media masses, so people are talking about the toxic work culture. You have also created a video on this, and I was going through a video which is created by ANI, and her father is talking about that she was going through excessive workload. She was going through sleepless nights. She was going through also chest pain. She also reached to her manager to discuss these all things. But the response from the manager, that is very insensitive. What he said that according to Anna's father, the manager said, if you cannot handle the pressure, then you can resign. Sriram, what is first take on this? My straight question is that who is responsible for the Anna's death? That is the culture of organization. That is the reporting manager, Anna herself, who could not handle the pressure. What is your take on this?
Its first is that it shouldn't have happened. And we must own up for the fact that, everybody involved let it happen. And that's the first acknowledgement that, this is not about making somebody a villain. It's about the lack of sensitivity that is there all around us. And if you ask me that straight question, the answer is not straight at all, because it could be any of these reasons. It could be all of these reasons, or it could be a combination of reasons. That is the truth of it. We cannot now say this is the villain. And, if they had, we work in a stressful environment. That is the truth. Okay. And of course, companies are doing certain things which are easy to do, where, things can be done like events and like arrange a counselor and things like that. But the issue is what was missing over here is at different stages, there were clues. And if those clues had been picked up and acted on, the outcome could have been different. And that is where this could have, kind of been sorted out. So now, but we can even easily say it was the manager's problem, right? But then the manager has so many things. If you really look at the manager is the most stressful person in the company, because everybody is sitting on their head. They have to manage people, they have to manage their, hierarchy, they have to manage results. And so it is not an easy job. So there, acknowledge that they are doing multiple things. They're dealing with different kinds of people. And hence, to say that, okay, they did. But the issue is this, that it has to start on a broader scale. First is that we need to be sensitive to employees. That if the company insists on that sensitivity, then makes that part of their culture, then trains people and the employees to say, hey, there are other channels, not just your manager. There are other channels for you to talk about this, go and do this. That is when we will surface it. Otherwise, what will happen is that, one of these things will happen. We will talk about it for a while and then everything goes back to the way it was. And that's what's been happening. In my video also, I said 22 years ago also it happened. And now also it is happening. And nothing much has changed. So once something happens, we jump up and down. And then, things go back to normal because it is a deep-rooted issue. There are many angles to it. It's not such a simple thing to say, but at the root of it is sensitivity. If it had been better, we could have managed it better.
Mr. Bakshi, what is your observation as a HR leader? And another supplement question would be that where do you see the role of HR of the organizations in this case?
I think Sriram has put it very well, and thanks Sriram for kicking it off beautifully. I would say that I'm amazed and amused to see some of the comments, especially from the managing director of the company, when he talks about we have 100,000 employees across, blah, 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 which was a very bad statement as an authentic leader of such a great company around the world. Second, I would say is it is not only he as a leader who is responsible. There are other levels of leaders who are equally responsible for this. But it starts from the top leader. It starts from the culture of the company. Having said that, the girl was probably under a lot of pressure and she lost her life. Very sad, very bad, very mad, sad, mad, and bad. How can you be so easily talking about we have 100,000 employees? And even the finance minister today gave a statement, she could not handle the pressure. I have great respect for the finance minister. I have moderated her session. How can you make such statements that she could not handle the pressure? So sensitivity towards this comes from the culture of the organization. In case you are not building a culture in the organization, which is the responsibility of together, HR leader and the CEO together. Unfortunately, these two these days do not seem working together. I see a lot of gap between HR leaders and the business heads and the other leaders coming together and developing that culture, which will, I have just completed, we still have completed a series on cultural transformation, which will go after my Harvard. I'm making right now Harvard series, and on next 3 months I will have again statement. I am touching the culture of the company. I have many other things also which I will be talking about. It's not only I will blame the management and the leadership, I have other aspects as well. But E&Y certainly lacks the culture of creating that sensitivity of employee well-being. I say it very strongly, and I think we need to look at the culture.
Absolutely, very true, very true. Might be you have thousands of employees, lakhs of employees in an organization, but every employee is an individual and every individual is unique. You cannot just dilute the fact with such kind of a statement. Absolutely. Deepa, as an OKR consultant, how do you see this incidence?
Ramesh, first of all, it was such a sad incident to read about. Having a young daughter of that age myself, it was a really, heart breaking kind of a news that I read that morning. And the first thing that crossed my mind is that when I started working in the early 90s, we had certain organizations that used to tell us, leave your personal problem outside the door and walk into the office. So personal life is separate, professional life is separate. I don't think it works that way, especially with the newer generations and the kind of transformation that we have been through as organization with the technology, with the kind of pressure that is there with the AI introduction into workspaces. A lot of people are trying to prove themselves to be valuable to the organization. So there's a lot of performance pressure, which means there should be right kind of goals that should be given to the employees to help manage outcomes rather than measure them for how many hours they're putting in, what time they're swiping in, what time they're swiping out. So we need to start, and this definitely is a part of the culture, right? What is the performance culture of your organization? So a lot of times we talk about culture. How does the culture manifest in an organization? The culture manifests as how your performance, what's your performance culture? What is your customer behavioral culture? And what is your overall collaboration culture in the organization? If these elements don't fall in place, you do not have a conducive work culture or a work environment. This is number one. Number two, if I think where HR can play a role, taking cue from your question, Ramesh, the HR where we can as a community play a role here is that when you hire youngsters like Anna from campuses, we need to give them that that elbow room to be able to learn. Yes, perform, because they're at the peak of their performance and peak of their careers. They're peaking, right? They're learning. They're in that learning mode. So how do you create the right kind of hiring policies along with their culture, right? Because I teach in several B schools, right? And I know that as the semester or the second semester is ending, the last semester is ending, the students are so much under pressure to get hired by a good organization at a good package. And that is their only focus. They're so stressed out, which means they will accept any terms and conditions offered by the organizations. I mean, I think we need to bring back this word empathy, which I only hear. We really need to bring back the word empathy and the practice of empathy in workplaces. I think this is something, HR should really be the culture bearer in the organization and create organization environment where people can speak about their challenges and speak about if they're not feeling well or if they're not able to do something. Why can't they walk up to someone and talk to them? If they have that fear of not being able to open up and share their challenges, I don't think we are creating the right kind of cultures. And if big organizations cannot set that tone, then we have a challenge. We have a challenge. I mean, imagine the kind of work culture that could be there in smaller organizations or startups. They'll be under tremendous pressure, right? So I think that's where HR can play a very critical role. And culture is a nice word to talk about, but I would love to see organizations actually manifest and demonstrate how the culture is working in their organization.
Absolutely, the culture you have also highlighted about the performance culture. You also highlighted about some how the delegation of goals. That is what is the importance of delegation of goals here. We will also discuss here. Sriram, if I come to you again, so as a happiness coach, I think you must have done a case study of this. So, what are the failures? Where you see the failures that how maybe the organization could save her life. When you see the failures from the organization side, maybe if you want to see the failures from Anna's side, what is your take on this?
See, first, we have to zone out and see the big picture. Okay, I feel that there are three problems here. One is a problem of the equation that the company has with an employee. And that is more of a superior junior equation. Okay, it is not an equal equation. And the problem starts there because that is how it has been. It's getting better, but it's still not something and that is where the problem of the human centricity is missing. Because the company is focused on customer, profits, and everything else, product, services, and then people. That is the order in which most companies operate, even though they may say whatever they want. Okay, if you go and look and test their actions, it will always be profits, customer, services, then people. That order first has to change. If you really want to think, first make the equation, because I think there's going to be a time when the equation will get forced, where employees have more choice. They won't stay with you. Today, they're staying with you because there is still a little bit of advantage that the company has. If that advantage goes away and the employee has, and which went away during the Great Resignation, that's what companies realized, that they couldn't retain people with money. People were going because they didn't have anything else to stay back on. It's only money. They're saying this computer, that computer, what's the difference? I'm getting 40% more. That's the first issue. That's the company has to change their perspective of how they want to fundamentally treat the employee, look at that equation, bring the human at the center. And if you do that, then you will see that there are lots of gaps in the way that things are being done. So that's your fundamental thing. Now, that is the other perspective of society and the employee. Okay. And that is my question, saying that why didn't employees stand up and protest, saying that there is a problem here, we are being overworked? It is because, in a way, society wants you to get ahead at all cost. And it wants you to kind of make it. And that is the messaging that they've gotten from school onwards, saying, go, kind of get ahead, get ahead. And so when they come to work, they're trying to do the same thing. And that is why they don't really complain, because there are benefits of working hard. The company will give you more money, it will give you more ESOPs, it will give you more faster promotion. And that is the thing, right? So that is why employees don't protest. They're saying, okay, I'm also benefiting out of this. Till the fact is that you pay up with a heavy cost. And the cost could be your life, the cost could be burnout, cost could be relationships. So it is a complicated issue. We need to look at this, from that perspective, and both have to be educated. And in the West, it's probably a little bit ahead because they've understood. They've gone through that cycle. They now understand that, the value of living is far more. So there, you'll not find people working late. They'll say 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever is the time, that's it. I won't take calls. That's not the case in India. Because of our, kind of developing mindset that we have, that we will take calls till 11 in the night as a thing. That somewhere these things have to fundamentally get corrected as a thing. So that's, I think, the first for us to think. I'll pause here. I'll let the others kind of talk. And then I want to come back and give you a solution framework which can work.
Mr. Bakshi, everyone is talking about on social media, it is the toxic work culture. How do you see what is toxic work culture first? And what are the signs that when you see that this is the toxic work culture here, and how the leaders can take the corrective measures?
I would say that when we talk about a big company, Pepsi, Coke, LG, Samsung, E&Y, and then we talk about a small company, I bet it with a hand on my heart that the culture in a small SME, whether in North America, whether in Canada, whether in India, will be much better than these large companies. Because there is a personal connect to people. I am not expecting the E&Y managing director to have a relationship and a personal connect with Anna. No, I am not expecting. But sir, when I was running an organization of 10,000 people in 18 countries, we used to go to the deeper down. The toxicity has increased because of the fact that people don't even meet and greet and talk to people. I'm not blaming work from home. That's another dimension which is destroyed. Many people have lost jobs because they have not had a personal connect. There's no personal connect between the manager. People join the companies, they leave the immediate manager. They don't know the managing director. They know the immediate. So the immediate manager has to create culture for his 10 people or 20 people or 100 people. But again, I'm going from top to bottom. This culture has to be one. Unfortunately, in today's environment, again, I'm going to be on the other side. I don't blame only the organization. I blame the generation also. Just 7-8 months back when Narayan Murthy said, a great man, that you need to work hard on that, moonlighting. You know how people attacked him? Strange. Shame on the part of this Gen X who attacked a person like Narayan Murthy. This generation also does a lot of wrong things. Their personal life, 90% of the people is in mess. Their personal hygiene is in mess. Personal life, personal hygiene. I'm not against the mottos and this thing. In Noida, I have girls staying in my house, ground floor. There's a ting tong at 3 a.m. and there's a food coming at 3 a.m. What nonsense. So that side also we need to look at what type of people. I have also my 2 sons working in the global world. They also work from home for a long time. My younger son is still working almost home in New York today. I just returned from New York 2 days back. But there is a clear understanding of what I need to do, what I need not to do. So responsibility is both. It cannot be only a manager, it has to be even the employee. And Deepa rightly said, even at the time of recruitment, we have worked in the corporate world. I started my career in 1984. And my manager was very tough. He did not even allow me to work for 3 years. But I made my room, to work. His room was like a bedroom with all the curtains, and I used to knock. I don't want to name. Today we are open culture. My management trainee goes with me to any meeting, travels with me anywhere. This is a responsibility of both. And when we talk about recruitment, I have this talent acquisition leader. She is known as Tigress of Talent Acquisition, Niti Arora. I take her name very strongly on the social media, not today only, always. When she recruits people, she just sees what kind of people are coming there, accepting offers, everything. And after 40 days, they just back out because they get another 5 to 10,000 rupees more and they're out. She has blacklisted many people. So we should not only, while I am blaming today EY, but we should not look only towards the organization. We should look at individuals also who are not themselves self-disciplined, who don't take care of health, food habits, and they also do something which is not ethical. I can today at 63 take responsibility and accountability of the job my boss will give me. They do not take the responsibility and accountability. Niti Arora was just mentioned to me, sir, even after this, there's no accountability and responsibility. I cannot depend on them. Not everybody is like this. I'm not making it, but there are most of the people. So to say that only organization needs to change, even employees have to change.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that is a very bold statement, and you are very true that now we have a lot of engagement models, but still the engagement is getting down. Deepa, as far as the goals and targets are concerned, so always it come, with some stress, some anxiety. But this is also an art. How do you delegate the work to the team member? How do you delegate the goals? How do you delegate the target to team members so that it turns into motivation, growth rather than stress? What is your take on this?
Ramesh, I think doing goal setting the right way is also a part of the organization culture. In fact, many times when people tell OKRs are a goal setting framework, I say no, it's not just a goal setting framework. It is an organization culture and an organization transformation tool. You can actually transform the way the organization functions. It can actually help change the culture of the organization from being output driven to becoming outcome oriented, right? We are so focused on outputs. What I also read that is that this girl Anna used to work 18 hours a day. How are you doing your goal setting that an individual has to sit in the office for 18 hours? I think that is one of the root causes that definitely calls for, a revamp and a rejig, not just from the management and the leadership, but also from HR, right? So how do you set goals to people to focus on outcomes and help them work towards the outcome rather than being tracked and chased every day into what is the report they're filing and what is the task they completed? So I think we need to move away from that style of working. So the style of working, the style of management has to change. And like Mr. Bakshi rightly pointed out, the culture part starts from the educational institutions, Ramesh. That has to be imbibed in the younger generations, as well as we need to relook at what organizational goal oriented culture means in an organization. So I think OKRs definitely will help bring about that cultural shift. uh, I do want to highlight a point here. If we are trying to talk about things like work-life balance, or if we are trying to talk about things which says that we have to be more outcome oriented, and at the same time we are having so this is where I have to slightly speak on a tangent. I feel when we are trying to create more healthier work environments where people can focus on their physical and mental well-being, and at the same time we have very senior industry leaders talk that we have to work 70, 80 hours a week, I think we are in a self-defeating loop, right? If we
Right.
are to give people a platform to work on their physical and mental well-being, at the same time we want them to work 70, 80 hours a week, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, Sriram, if you see recently, Deloitte has also appointed 3 members committee, and that is, there would be also one chief happiness officer, and Tech Mahindra also has chief happiness officer. Many companies they are appointing the chief happiness officer, maybe to create a good culture, good engaging culture. How do you see? What are your solution to avoid this kind of the incidents in future?
So I'm going to give you a quick but good framework. First is we have to start with principles. Okay, in the country has constitution. A religion has your Bhagavad Gita, your Bible, and things like that. Where is the rule book for the company? They have the rule book that we have is all legal. Okay, we don't have a human-centered rule book first. So we first need to adopt principles, good principles that will guide us, and that should be the starting point. And use those principles to look at how you're doing stuff. That's what I call as a human centricity audit. That will tell you the gaps. Once you know the gaps, then using that gap thing, you create a conscious culture where you get leaders to role model the right behaviors. If they do that, then, and that whole model of culture is not a simple one, right? There is an ecosystem. You have your benefits, process, policies, all that. Then you have your employee life cycle. And then you have the workday journey. You have to fix all three. All three have to be human centric. And the last part is to enable the humans, which is your individual, the teams, the leaders, the managers have to be, trained, taught, coached to demonstrate the right behaviors and habits so that they are also, kind of contributing to the right culture and also producing the right results. If you do this properly, that is when results will come. And it's sustainable. Both sides. You have to take care of both sides as a sustainable thing.
And Mr. Bakshi, any of your final quick comments?
Yeah, I was just referring to this work-life balance. I hate this word. We have had Indira Nooyi as the CEO of Pepsi company. You know what she said about work-life balance? It's on the social media. Such a renowned person handling such a large job. What is this work-life balance? I call it nonsense. My kids question me on this, that you can still be at 63 talking about this. There's no work-life balance here. I am working 24/7. I am into entrepreneurship last 10 years. And even before being my entrepreneurship, I was HR director handling 24 countries in 4 continents. I was 24/7. So there's no work-life balance. There's only one thing, just steps, the strategies is number one, create a culture whom to recruit, how to recruit, cultural fit of the organization, and I call it, strategizing the recruitment process. The recruitment process in itself is a big challenges. But a leader on HR platform will talk about we have a very strong, recruitment process. But then there are many questions. So that means the CEO has to ensure that there is a clear, well-defined recruitment process and then attract people accordingly. Then once they are inside, the hand-holding, the mentorship. Why can't there be a mentor for 5 or 6 people, regular intervals, interactions? You will see there will be this happiness officer of ours, Sriram will certainly agree, there will be a different change altogether. Even in पुराने ज़माने में लाला जी क्या करते थे? Mr. Jain was, अरे सब ठीक ठाक है ना? घर पे सब ठीक है? Even to the worker, even to the manager, even to the vice president, to the general manager.
Absolutely, absolutely. I would say very great insights by all the 3 panelists. Taking Mr. Bakshi's point, so the toxicity is increased, no doubt. And EY has lacked certainly the culture of sensitivity, the culture of trust, the culture of empathy. There's no doubt. Taking Dr. Deepa's point, how you assign the work, how you delegate the goal, how you delegate the assignment, how you delegate the work to team member, that plays very important role. If you do it in the right way, it can motivate to the team members. But if you don't do it in the right way, it can also give the stress to your team members. Taking Mr. Sriram's point, absolutely, we need to start from the human-centric culture. We need to start with the human-centric principles and human-centric behavior. That is very important. Thank you so much, Mr. Sriram, Mr. Bakshi, and Dr. Deepa for joining the conversation and sharing your wonderful thoughts. Thank you so much.